Welcome to Better Together.
A place where we dive deep into everyday subjects.
We are your hosts, Julian
and Carolina, two psychologists that travel the world and are very excited about the whole human experience.
So without further ado, let's dive into the episode.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Better Together. This is Carolina.
This is Julian. And today we present you a slightly different format, which you won't see on YouTube because it's just audio. And we'll try to distill you the information, the knowledge in shorter episodes. So now we'll just try to cramp it all in about 20 minutes so you can listen to it quickly and get all the information that you need. And today's topic is mentors and how to choose them and where to find them. And I think a bit more in depth, really, what to look for.
So we'll start with a story that happened a couple of weeks ago. I was listening to a podcast of one of my mentors. She's Blue. That's her full name, BLU. And she has this really awesome podcast, and it's an inspirational speaker, a podcast host, and many other things. She's an artist. And she had this guest come over in her podcast. And the person was talking about things that were relevant. So spirituality, she was speaking about spirituality, relationships, like how to have healthy relationships, and many topics that I usually find very exciting. But when I was listening to this woman, I felt resistance. I couldn't pinpoint what it was, but I didn't want to let the information that she was portraying, I didn't want to let that in. It felt that it wasn't coming from a place of wholeness or embodiment, that she really was walking the talk. So something felt off. I couldn't pinpoint it. And I couldn't shake it off of my head either. I was pissed. I was like, why can't I forget this podcast? And then I was having a conversation with you. And what it came down to was the content was not that great. And the energy of the person was not in the right place, in my subjective experience. The way that I was perceiving this woman, she was not a very centered person that was speaking from a place of walking the talk, but really just, how did I say? Woke, just woke, just a woke person. And that's a term that it's used in the US for people that are fake spiritual, or that are spiritual but just very on a very superficial level. So I came up with this chart of how to choose your mentors and the people that you take information from. So let's imagine, and this is a challenge because we're only audio, but let's say that you have an X and Y axis. So bring it up in your mind, and there's a cross on a paper or in the ethers, but just imagine a cross. And in the horizontal axis, we put quality of content. On one end, we have high quality content. On the other end, we have low quality content. And on the x-axis, is that the x? The standing one, the upward axis, we put energy. So on the lower end, on the bottom, we will put low energy, or turbulent energy. Somebody that is very convoluted or aggressive, violent, manipulative, something that we don't enjoy very much. And on top of that axis, we put good energy, good vibes people that are positive, motivating, even if they are blunt. Sometimes very blunt people have good energy. So now you have this chart that basically divides the good content and the bad content, and the good energy, and the convoluted energy. Now let's just choose your mentor and place them somewhere in that chart. And I noticed that all my mentors are in the A category for me. Let's say A category is when they have good quality content and really good energy. I have some people that I listen to that have good energy, but not necessarily good content yet, that they are still growing into it. But I have very little information information that I take from people in the good content, bad energy section, because I somehow don't trust what they're saying. And I'm not even going to include the bad energy, bad content, because why would you do that to yourself? But in the quadrant of, let's say, bad energy, good content, I could put Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is this astrophysicist that knows a lot about physics and the space and Earth and the timelines of humanity. And then at the same time, he's very rude. He's very rude with the people that he's talking. Like, he talks over the people.
Remember that you can search on YouTube that one video where there's a compilation on Joe Rogan with Neil deGrasse Tyson, where he's just really rude in conversation in the whole podcast. So these are some indicators, I guess, for you to figure out whether a person has good or bad energy as well.
Yeah, so he's rude. He's just trying to impose things, and he has so much of an ego. Like, he thinks he's the greatest. So then that just doesn't give me good energy. But he knows a lot. So sometimes I might take something that he's saying, give it my own spin, but not really a person that I frequently listen to, or that it's in my Instagram feed or in my YouTube feed, because I just don't feel good. And then on the good energy, good content people, there's a lot. And here is also a distinction that depending on the topic, the person that I will listen to. So for example, for anything related to spirituality, I have Blue, which is this mentor that I mentioned. And for clown, I have my Uruguayan teacher, which is Dana. And she has really good energy, really good content. Her energy is off the charts. So the content, she's not so thick on content whenever she's doing a course or something, but still, like, the energy just, it's worth it by itself. And then for business, I have Eric Edmeets. He has a bunch of programs online that teach business, and his content is just brilliant. And his energy is really good. Like, I wouldn't say that he's the top of the chart energy, because he's still a business person and he's very focused on Earth and, like, making stuff happen. But he's still very positive, very motivating, and very upfront in what it takes to build a business.
So let's maybe break it down a little bit, because you were sharing a lot of your examples now of what good content and what good energy for you means. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to also mention that these are your specific criteria on how you select your mentors. Not the energy, not the content, but what's in there. You mentioned, like, what energy is. It's for you, it's motivating, for you, it's upbeat, like having good vibes. That's for you, like, a great positive energy. And content, I think, is also really different for each of us. So I think I also like appealing content, like something that's also quite frequent, because most of the things, or most of the mentors that we have, are online. So there we see, like, okay, that's plays probably a part in that. And when it then also comes into in-person mentors, I think it comes even more to the energy that you feel once you talk to that person, how you're around, how you feel around them. And there's another thing that I heard how martial artists should select their master, how they call it, which is one is, does the master know the techniques? Is he really good at what he does? And the second degree is, how are his students? So not looking only at the master, but also looking at the students who are following him. To what degree did they also learn what he was doing? So maybe that's a bit more for in person, especially. But I think it also applies to other people when you just randomly get to know somebody new on social media that you like. Check on who's following them. How are the people responding? Do you fit that crowd? Do you like that crowd? Because if you get more and more input from these people, you get more and more part of their life philosophy, basically. So you tend to become more of those people who follow them anyways. And so I think those are also really nice indicators to figure out whether that's a mentor that you would like.
Yeah. I think this is an important conversation because there's so much going on online right now. There's so many people posting content, and even us, we post content, and the content that we post is not for everybody. It's just for a few people, or hopefully not so few, but for a target group of people that are very interested in personal development and are willing to put in the work that it takes to understand the conversations that we're having. So the bottom line is, we don't have to take in everything that's out there, because we would go crazy if we take the advice of, like, let go and flow with life. You need to get disciplined and show up every day. And it's like, what do I do? I don't even know what to choose. It's like, choose for each area of your life what feels right. And this is a big exercise on following your gut feelings, following the people that you resonate with, that you like, and choosing consciously. Not going with the person that has the most likes, the person that is the most popular on YouTube, but going with the people, even if it's a person that has 3 subscribers, like us. No, it's not an advertisement for us, but maybe you find somebody that you're like, oh, this person really seems to embody their own teachings, really seems to be walking the talk, so I'll stick with them for a while. And that's another caveat, for a while. Because there's the saying, I think is it in martial arts as well? The teacher kills the student. No. the student must kill the teacher, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
What exactly does it mean, though, to you?
That eventually the student doesn't need the teacher anymore. So it grows out of the teacher. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. It happened to you, if I recall correctly, quite a few times, and maybe you can tell on that. But sometimes we take the learnings of someone because they are very resonating in that moment of our lives. Like they belong to the thing that we're going through.
They have something that is really valuable for us to learn. And there were situations then already coming to that point where there was a person who could teach me so much about psychology and coaching, and I just soaked up all his knowledge. I went to not to webinars, to actual seminars, and was around him a lot of times and try to really understand how he thinks and learn from him.
He was your mentor, like
basically
mentor.
Yeah, in that direction for like coaching, but also sometimes life questions, actually, like deciding what should I study next or where should I go next. And then at some point, the feeling shifted a little bit. Like after a couple of years that I was sort of following him or using his learnings, it shifted towards, yes, I love how good you are in this, but I don't subscribe to to life philosophy anymore. The way, I guess, the a little bit boomer's perspective of how he wanted to do business, and that for me gave a little bit of a weird feeling underneath. It took a lot of time for me to actually understand what this was, but essentially it was that I got a lot from him as a technical knowledge of coaching and also a bit of life. But then I needed to part ways because there was a lot more for me to be experienced, because I felt it was very narrow where he wanted to bring me, and I wanted to expand. And that was the moment where I noticed he's not the right teacher for me anymore.
Yeah. And also there was a little bit, if I recall correctly, that he wanted you to follow a certain path, and he wasn't keen on you discovering whoever you wanted to be, but he actually wanted you to be a certain person and wanted to push that down your throat. So I think that's always a red flag if something like that happens, that you have a teacher that is wanting you to go a certain way and you don't feel like going that way, then yeah, that's also time to part ways. But sometimes we need to get from A to B and from B to C and to C to D, and there's a teacher that can take us from A to B, and there's a teacher that will take us from B to C. And that's it's okay. Like sometimes the parting ways with a teacher is difficult. For example, I used to watch a lot of videos from Jenna Marbles. And Jenna Marbles was like a big YouTube figure, and in the 2000, mid 2000s, no, late 2000s. What? No, that doesn't make any sense. I don't have. Let's say 2010 to 2015.
In the early days of the internet.
Yeah, something along those dates. And I would watch her videos, and I thought she was hilarious and so bubbly, sparkly, and I loved her. I loved her content. She would do videos that were just, she'd go into the supermarket and making puns of things, or just doing silly stuff in the street. Like, it was like the most basic things, but I would think that she was great. And then as I grew, and hopefully this doesn't sound bad, but as I grew and I like started having more of a professional life, and I started discovering spirituality and other things, and I would watch her content. She was the same age that I was. So back then she was like maybe 26, between 26 and 30. And I didn't feel like her content was evolving, that it wasn't growing with her. So the content remained the same silly videos, and it didn't accompany my growth. So I wanted to get some more quality, some more substance behind the content that I was consuming. So yeah, I had to, at some point, unsubscribe. That's like the dude. But yeah, that's what I did. And in that moment, it was difficult, but it felt for a while that it was not right anymore. So that's a different, I guess it's like a milder version of what happened with you and your mentor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just noticing that there's cycles in life, and sometimes the cycles end. So we should let go and not stick with a teacher if it doesn't feel right anymore.
Okay. So what does that mean now in the context of mentors in general? Like, how do you, for yourself, find some? We didn't really talk about it, but maybe we can just add that a little bit. How do you find mentors, and how do you select them then for yourself? And also maybe just as a last point in a summary, when do you know that you need to let go of them?
Okay. Let's start with finding. Finding it's when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So at least that's the way that it has been for me. The moment that I wanted to learn about meditation, Tara Brach popped into my life. It was like a random course in Udemy about meditation that I could just take, and then I learned a lot about meditation. So when your life is calling you to dive into business, to dive into marketing, to dive into spirituality, dive into meditation, you will see somebody pop up. It can be somebody that is recommended to you by a friend. It can be in your YouTube search that somebody pops up in a podcast. But it's more like you open to receive a teacher, a mentor, let's say. And when you place that attention and intention into the world, then you will start seeing possibilities. You will start seeing, like, oh, look, this person could be a teacher, this person could be a teacher. And you select them. Now we go to the second phase, like how do you select a teacher? Is, I would say, using the axes, the framework that we described in the beginning. Do they have good content and do they have good energy? And it's completely subjective to you. Like, good energy for you, Julian, is completely different than what it is for me. Like, you like chill people, techies, nerds. I get bored. It's too brainy with like the nerds, but I love the floaty.
Shout out to
people.
MKBHD.
Exactly. And yeah, just finding what is good energy for you, what is good content for you, and trying to place your mentors in that framework. And if they fall in the A category, they're good to go in terms of content and energy. And then you stick with them for a while because their content is great and it's relevant for the part of your life that you are going through, and it's relevant for that category of your life. That's also important. Don't bring more mentors than what you need, because now maybe I'm personally working in my business side. So I bring a lot of mentors in the business part. But I'm not working on like my singing skills or my clown skills too much. I just, okay, no, let's mostly bring mentors in business. So we have mentors, we stick with them, we roll with them. And the mentors that I'm listening to right now might grow old fast because they are for beginner business students. So the moment that I get some more traction in the business area, then I won't be their target market anymore. So you feel that the content, I feel, for example, when something is growing old, let's say, that the content is no longer high quality, that I wouldn't qualify the content anymore as really top notch, that it feels like I heard everything that they had to say, and I'm not captivated by it anymore. It's sort of like a natural unfolding. And then in terms of energy, I still love them. I still like them, and I might still qualify them as really good energy, but their content is not, it's not as appealing anymore. So that's when it gets tricky, because you're trying to balance out, I love them and they gave me so much, but I need to move on. I need to continue growing. So when to say goodbye? Well, very often is when a new teacher appears, that it's like, that's exactly what I was looking for, and then just go with the new teacher, or just gradually letting go of that and welcoming mentors in other areas, because maybe you stop being interested in business and you're interested in building houses with mud. So who knows? And that's the way that it goes. Did I explain the process?
Wonderfully.
Okay.
Midway I forgot even the 3 questions. You perfectly came back to them. So that's awesome. I think then that's the full journey from finding mentors, selecting them, and knowing when to part. I think that is a great shorter episode than we usually do. I think the last thing for me is to add to that still is that there's so many mentors and so many possible people to learn from. And I think sometimes we also just need skills. And there I don't look that much into, oh, does the person have good energy? But does the person have a great targeted online course that I can learn this coding, this website skill, the design skill from? So I think really listen to what you need right now. And if you need a mentor who has a big impact on you, then I think especially the energy and the content is important for that. But other than that, thank you so much for elaborating this thought of idea of how to select a mentor, how to find them, and what to look for in them. Thank you so much for listening, for you too, that you sticked around until now, and look forward to hearing you in the next one.
Thank you for joining, everybody, and see you in another episode. Bye-bye.